staff. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for our new staff members?
No, just welcome.
Good to have you. Two very experienced people. A lot of Park and Rec experience, which I appreciate. That's excellent. Thank you for bringing that to our town. Good, good. Okay. So that is that. Citizen communications. We don't have any citizens in the audience today. I did receive an email which is related to business, and I will read that when we come to the different points on the agenda. Does anyone else have anything?
Do not.
No? Okay. Let's move to old business. We're going to start with Mission Blue Center rental rates, fee comparisons, and upgrade costs. We just came out of a facility subcommittee meeting, and we discussed this, and we can fill you in and get your thoughts as well. I do have a bit of citizen communication and input for this one. Once we kind of discuss the general situation, then I can add that in. Okay, so we're looking at the rental rates. We're looking at revenues from past years. We have a fee comparison with San Francisco, San Bruno, Daly City, and Burlingame. And then also at the last meeting, we discussed some upgrades that we felt were needed, that we haven't had any upgrades for 15 years at Mission Blue. So we're looking at kind of a facelift and replacement of some chairs and chairs there. So I guess what we could do is maybe start with our conversation from the meeting we were just in, and then get your feedback as well. Okay. So we started with improvements on the second page. For new chairs, we were looking at a cost of about $6,000. Now that would also include upgrading the chairs at the community center, because we would, in getting new chairs for Mission Blue, we would choose the best and move them to the community center, which I think makes sense.
Yes.
So that would have, in effect, the 6,000 upgrade chairs at two facilities. New tables. We thought maybe we had discussed new tables, but we didn't think that was as important as the chairs.
They need it at the
moment.
community center.
Community center.
Yeah, that's what we did say. Community center needed more than Mission
Yeah,
Blue.
we need tables.
Okay. Paint and patchwork, about 500. Kitchen upgrades. The kitchen at Mission Blue does need a bit of an overhaul, or a complete overhaul, I should say. And that's the estimate. Carpet replacement at Mission Blue, 1,400 plus installation and new speakers. So all in all, that comes to about 15,000 if we added new tables. And I don't think I added in the installation fee. That would be closer maybe to 16. So Stuart suggested that since we are looking at a 2-year budget, that we perhaps break that into two and start with upgrading the carpeting and the chairs, and then moving to the kitchen upgrade and the paint at the
paint
same
and the
time.
speakers in 16, 17.
And leave the kitchen?
And then
and
do the
then
kitchen in 17, 18.
17, 18.
Okay.
So maybe was that right, Stuart? Maybe make a recommendation for everything except for the kitchen for 16, 17, and then the kitchen upgrade in 17, 18.
Yes. That was what was suggested.
Okay.
I think it's going to be easier for council to deal with it as a 2-year project than a 1-year project.
So, commissioners, do you have anything to add? Any comments or questions or thoughts about that?
I was amazed at the cost for rental, where it went from 208 to 218. It's not such a big jump.
No, it is.
You know, for non-residents.
No, it's true. It's
And even the jump from 12, 13 down to 15, 16, it's not that big of a jump.
we haven't really raised rates.
They were saying, someone said it was too expensive, that's why it wasn't busy, but I don't think that's a big jump at all.
So if you remember the history of this, back, and, it may have been 11, oh, do you have it written down? No, okay. For 11, 2012, we were receiving complaints about people misrepresenting who the parties were for. And the commissioner at that time said, let us, because we used to have much lower residential rates, and what you said at that point is, let's raise the residential rates so there's less people who are misrepresenting who the party is for. You know, and that, I think, has caused part of the drop-off. Although I can probably have Noreen talk a little bit more about what, you know, what the rental picture is right now, and, you know, what it's been over the last few years, to give you an idea of what's going on. And, you know, it's always one of those challenges. You know, what we have in revenues to date may not be what we're going to see for the full year, because the parties start happening later in the spring. And also, you know, as you saw in the staff report, that a lot of the use of the facility is for nonprofits or community nonprofits. So we don't charge community nonprofits. So if you are a nonprofit who has whose event is open to the public, there is no charge for it. But I know if you're a community nonprofit whose event is closed, we still charge for that. And that's the difference that we make there. So as this report says, is 75% of the time that it's been used on the weekends, it's been for the nonprofits. And that may be something that the commission and the city is really supportive of. You know, we would rather have this be a facility that the nonprofits and the community groups feel that they have access to at a very inexpensive cost, because there's no other real place in town that they can use like this. You know, BDW takes advantage of this when they do their auction, and they also take advantage of it when they do their spring performance. And when they do their spring performance, we don't just close, you know, it's just not closed just for that spring performance. There's the rehearsals for it as well. And then, you know, this year the best PTO was not able to find other locations for their spring fling as they have in the past, but, you know, we were able to accommodate them. You know, and being able to do good things like that for the community may be more important than the revenue that is produced. But I'll turn it over to Noreen to try and explain a little bit more about what goes on.
Noreen, before you do that, I just wanted to add the bit of citizens communication that I had on this issue, and also clarify it with Stuart. So this came from Anya Miller, and she emailed and said that I had the honor of sponsoring a county-wide citizens committee for a noontime lunch meeting in Brisbane. They usually meet in Belmont or San Mateo. It would have been nice to help promote our great facility by using the small room at Mission Blue, but even the resident rate was prohibitive, so we ended up meeting at the community center for $104. While I understand the unavoidable staffing costs, I hope you can create more flexibility, affordability for nonprofits in the Mission Blue rental rates, especially in the daytime. So it sounds to me, Stuart, that if this meeting, and it probably was, it was an open meeting, that there would be no charge?
Yeah,
Open to the
I mean, this
community,
might
or
be
is that
something
slightly different?
that Trish could probably answer better than I can. It always depends on how it's represented when the person speaks to us.
Okay.
So, you know, I wasn't there. So if Ms. Miller said that I'm hosting a meeting, that would be different than saying I'm hosting a community, you know, a nonprofit, or, you know, for the school district. When the school district has meetings there, we don't charge the school district because it's a public organization. So if it was a public organization and if she represented it like that, we probably would not have charged. But I'm not sure. So
I believe, if I recall what you're talking about, it was represented as a luncheon, and it wasn't represented as anything that was a nonprofit. So at that point, it was, to me, it was a luncheon with, I think there was maybe 10 or 12 people there.
Okay.
So
So someone would have to specifically mention that it is for a nonprofit. And then was there, Stuart, the additional, it also needs to be open to the public?
if it's a nonprofit, and I'm trying to remember all the rules, I think if it's a nonprofit that is not located within the city of Brisbane, then yes, if it's open to the public, we do not charge them. But if it's not open to the public, there is a charge.
Okay. Good clarification.
No?
Even if it's a-
Tricia's gonna
So
clarify that.
if it's a nonprofit not located in Brisbane and it is open to the public, they get the resident rate. If it is located in Brisbane and it's open to the public, then we don't charge.
I see, okay. Okay. Well, that can be part of our discussion when we're looking at, if we're going to move forward with any kind of changes, could we have a nonprofit rate, I suppose?
marketing.
Okay, so I'm sorry to interrupt. I think Noreen was going to get some more information about rates.
Stuart touched on many of the points that I was going to make with regards to rentals at Mission Blue. We do get requests for paid reservations. However, oftentimes the facility is already booked out by nonprofit rental groups. And so I know Tricia has said like several months out, we're pretty booked on every Saturday. But oftentimes those Saturday occasions consume other parts of the weekend as well for setup and breakdown. So even though we're only booked on the Saturday, the facility is really being used for set events for the duration of Friday through Sunday, sometimes not available again until Monday. So it just depends.
So part of the reason why we may be looking at lower revenues this year, perhaps we are booking more community events. Could that be a reason?
Yeah, and Tricia did a little bit of an analysis, and I provided it there. The first 5 months of 2016, only 11% of the reservations that we have are paid reservations. So I think that speaks to a decline in the revenue that we're seeing as well.
So the recommendation from the Facilities Committee just met, which includes Lyle and Renee and me, was to keep the pricing the same for now, to put into a request to council for the improvements over the 2-year budget period, and just kind of wait and see as far as if rentals improve. And we also discussed, Lyle had the idea of different marketing, perhaps marketing the larger facility, including some of the recreation, the tennis court, and the ball field right there as more of a team building event space. So maybe we can look into trying to get Mission Blue on lists for these kind of events. That might be helpful.
Yeah, the idea was that you talked about weekends are full, but you didn't say anything about the weekdays being full. So if we could take opportunities to use the weekday time for opportunities for businesses around for team building exercises, et cetera, meetings, things like that. Again, we've heard lots of complaints about the acoustics. So again, it may not be acoustics are needed to have a serious meeting, but a meeting that's kind of a team building event for a company, 40, 50 people, something like that size, with the recreational activities around the Mission Blue facility might be enticing.
That's a great idea.
So could that be possible? Just a quick investigation into the list and how to get on the list for that kind of
Yeah,
facility.
we do advertise in Here Comes the Guide, which is a local resource for venues.
That's a good one. I used it.
And we do get several calls fielded from them. But it might be helpful as well to reach out to the local business community and let it be known that, Mission Blue is available for those types of corporate team building and kind of strategically position ourselves for things like that. So we're happy to look into it.
Okay.
And during the week, during the day, is definitely an opportunity to use the facility more. So that would be a nice way to do so.
And we also discussed the possibility, I think Lyle mentioned, perhaps we could put a little something into the luminary,
Yeah.
into the star, various places that people could be aware that they can have a smaller rental period
Yep.
during the week especially, so.
And
Okay.
if I may, and then we also kind of would like to know what are the minimum hours that someone usually rents the place? The maximum and the minimum.
Well, our minimum would be like 3 hours, but that's too short. But I'd say the maybe 5 hours would be a minimum, and some, if it's like a quinceañera, those will be rented for like 12 hours.
Oh my
But I'd say the average would probably be maybe a 6-hour. Most of them are around 5-6 hours. You do get some that go longer, but it just depends on what their event is.
Yeah. Because that's another thing we discussed, that possibly there could be a 5-10% discount if you have 6 hours or more. You're not booked very much on the weekdays, correct?
No, part of it is, we do have activities in there on the weekdays, but they're usually not till after 5 o'clock. We might have a couple of school district events that go in sometimes during the week, but during the day, not so much during the week, yeah.
Okay, so to sum up, does anyone else have anything to add or any questions?
No, I think you covered it.
Okay, good. So just to sum up, for improvements, we're looking at asking council for budget to cover everything on the list except for, and including tables. Should we add tables then?
We
for
need
community
tables.
center?
Yes,
Yeah, we can add that in.
they're held together with duct tape.
Oh, really? Are they that bad?
All of them, all
But,
corners, all.
but we're just looking at Mission Blue.
I know, but if they're buying,
Yeah.
I think they would buy from the same person.
We can look at that as an
Yes,
add-on.
yes.
See if we can get a discount on those. So we're going to ask for the improvements over a 2-year period, with kitchen being done the second year. We decided to keep the pricing the same for now. We'll kind of do a wait and see and see if that improves. Looking at increased marketing to the business community through our local means of Luminary and Star. And there might be I just feel like there must be some sort of a guide, online guide, like a Here Comes the Bride for businesses for small or larger gatherings that we might be able to just add our name to. That could probably be a quick Google search. And then how does everyone feel about a discount for 6 hours or more? Do you think that would be incentive and important to add to the pricing structure?
I think if you're planning it whether there's a discount or not. I don't know that would make a difference.
Well, I think if ultimately the point is first to make this a nonprofit space to residents of Brisbane, really it sounds like any amount that we bring in is cherry on top, icing on the cake.
true.
So I would say if the goal is to basically just bring in this incremental revenue and still get more use out of it, the first thing I would do, at least on a first-year basis, is, hate to say it this way, but undercut what everybody else is doing, so that way at least it looks more attractive to those that don't know what it is. Because from my limited knowledge of what this sounds like, it just sounds like word hasn't necessarily gotten out. Our rates, while I agree, they seem low to me,
They
but
seem low to me.
what do I know? I don't book events.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
so if that's the case, it almost, I would say, is that if you've never used it before and we want your business, then this $218 non-resident rate is $150 or what, I'm just picking an arbitrary number, but it's something that basically prices everybody else out of the business just to bring them in, so that way they see it for the first time, and then hopefully they use it on a repeated basis, then you can revert to another rate card.
So I just asked staff a question. How many weekends do we actually have available during a year that it isn't being used? And it's like 5 or 6.
Wow.
So it's actually being used, it's just not being used by people who pay us money.
Yeah, because if you look on there,
So I think that's,
Yeah.
I think that's the answer, is I think the rates are not bad, because the weekends that it is available, people are renting it. It's just that we've gone much more to to the nonprofits who are renting it
see,
more
that's
than they may
really-
have in the past, because, they're more interested in it.
So
'Cause-
the weekends are not booked, they are being we are renting the facility.
That's being used,
We're not,
yes.
yeah,
I
okay.
mean, if you think about like Artist Evening of Sharing, where we set up the risers, or BDW, or we set up the risers, or the Live at Mission Blue, where we set up the risers. Risers get set up on probably on Thursday, and they get taken down Monday. So those kinds of events use it for that entire weekend, because it's just, we have an outside group that does, that puts up the risers, and then when they come back to work on Monday, they take down the risers. So I don't, it's one of these. I mean, I agree. We may want to maybe do a discount for day, maybe a certain number of days ahead of time when it's available, but we keep a rate, the normal rate, and then say, if it's available, somebody comes in a month before, it might go down if that day's still open to fill that date. I mean, that might be the dynamic pricing that everybody's using nowadays. I mean, that might be another way to do it, where we lower the rates on more as it gets closer to that date to fill it.
So our low number for 15, 16 year-to-date is just an example of successful community use of our building. Really. It's being used and loved, and that's also good. Okay, interesting.
And that's why we need the upgrades, is the wear and tear. So do we need to make a motion?
That would be good.
Yes,
You
yes.
think we do?
Oh, yeah.
Let's see,
Sure.
so move for improvements. We don't need to move to keep the pricing the same.
Actually, you do, because normally I would raise it by
Oh, we
inflation.
normally do a little.
Yeah, I do an inflationary increase every year, so if you want to keep it exactly the same, then I would like that to be part of that.
Okay, so I will indicate what needs to be done if someone wants to make a motion. So improvements, as listed over the 2-year period, keeping pricing the same for now. And I think that was all we decided. I think we didn't decide on the block or anything like that.
On the block?
Block rating, block fees, a discount for 6 hours or more. I don't think we decided on that. So, all right, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion
All right.
for the changes as stated.
I'll second.
You have to state them.
You have to say,
You have to
state
state
'em
'em.
all.
You have to state the whole.
No, that's fine.
Thanks, Stuart.
Welcome.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. All right. Next is new business, goal-setting workshop follow-up and next steps.
Did you not want to do the capital projects that you also
Oh,
have?
yes. Oh, I just marked that off with, okay, yes, absolutely. We spent some time on that too just now.
I spent a half an hour on it.
I know. We might as well talk about it. Okay. Excuse me. Capital, this is 7B, capital projects cost estimates, with our attachment with the projects listed and pictured.
Oh, that's right.
So this is being brought back to us because we wanted to make sure that, we have now some more estimated costs, and we want to make sure this is still the order that we want. We, as a facilities subcommittee, met and talked about this as well. We have a recommendation, but we want to talk about it as a full commission and get your feedback as well. So our recommendation is to keep the restroom and storage facility number 1 as number 1.
Right.
We wanted to make number 2, and Stuart, if I get this wrong, or let
You
me
want
know.
number 2 to be number
Is
3?
16.
Number
Okay.
2 to be number 3?
Yes. I was just thinking if you go page by page and just reorder the numbers that way.
Oh, okay, you want to do it like
That
that?
way people wouldn't have to flip back
Okay,
and forth.
that sounds good, that sounds good.
Okay, make number
Number
2,
two,
number
number
3.
three.
Change those.
Okay. I didn't make notes that way, so you might have to continue,
Okay.
Stuart.
So number 1 would be number 1, number 2 would be number 3. Number 3 would fall further down the list at some point, because I'll get to what the top 7 are. Number 4 wasn't talked about,
Which is 2?
so number 2 is going to be all the way on the last page, so I'll get there. So the bocce ball courts would be our 4th ranked project. Our 5th ranked project would be way back. It would be the lighting for the dog park. What used to be number 13. The electronic sign would be the 6th ranked project, and that would only be at Mission Blue. The thought was from the subcommittee, and also what I've learned in this town is not to touch the sign in the community park. Whenever we've suggested that as staff, I've gotten people to tell me, paper is wonderful. And it was built by the Lions Club, that
I didn't know that.
one. So yes, the Lions Club are vested in that. But if we put an electric sign up at Mission Blue, that might make people realize that it might be useful in other places too. And then the number 2 one would be something that Renee has been talking about, I don't know, for the last 10 years. The downtown event banners would be the 2nd ranked one. And then the number 7 one would be remodeling the space up at the BES. This is something that we've talked about a little bit in the past, where our programs have gotten very popular up there, our after-school
Could
program.
this be reprinted with those numbers? I mean, we're flipping
will.
and trying to find,
This
Yes.
for the new one, okay.
We will. I mean, what it was is that
I'm trying to
this was
find
the subcommittee that just met 3 minutes before we came here tonight. And then, the remodeling of the space up at BES is an important one for our programs. We're running out of space. We're using the cafeteria when it rains. I think what we will need to do, though, is work with the school district to make sure that they're comfortable with whatever it is that we do, and that, that may, if we're able to put a larger facility there, that would be good, but if not, we might need to find other location for our after-school program, because we're just, I think we're running 60 to 80 children a day. So when it's raining, or when we're trying to do an indoor activity, it doesn't work as well as it could.
yeah.
So that is a growing problem that we will need to find a solution for.
Anything to add?
And we will reprint that for the commission for the next time, and we will put that into the capital projects list for the city council to look at. And what my understanding is that the request would be for over the next 2 years is to try and do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and see if we can even move all the way through number 5, if we get lucky.
And,
But as I told the committee, I think number 1 is going to be the hardest one for them to work through.
I think so.
Because the
Because
cost
of the
factor.
cost factor.
Yes, yes. And the reason we put 2, 4, and what is 5? Remind me what 5 is? Oh, lighting. We put those in, we moved those up because we thought those were smaller cost and greater impact
Right.
items that
Like I say,
Might
trying to
appreciate.
keep up with that, we need a whole new print.
we do. Okay, so just for clarity, so 1 is restroom storage facility, 2 is banners, 3 security lighting, 4 bocce court, 5 is dog park lighting, 6 electronic signage, and 7 improvements for preschool building.
Okay.
So do you have any feedback or suggestions
I have,
within this?
actually, ironically, I have one slight comment that a resident came up to me after they saw that I was on the commission in the Star. We were in Melissa's the other night, and somebody came up and said, hey, one thing that we've talked about for a long time, and it seems like a simple fix, but I don't think it's that simple, but given that restroom storage facility is number 1 up at Littman, is that there is no access to water fountains. Because as they have camps and activities throughout the summer, it gets pretty hot up there, and there is no way to have, particularly as you have small children like I do, you have to come armed with a ton of bottles because they just blow through them and there's no place to refill right in that immediate area. So as part of that, a water
That's a
fountain.
good point.
Interesting. I wonder if we should separate that from restroom storage facilities so that we could possibly get that done since it's a.
Sure,
Well,
we
if
can
they
get a
have
cost.
plumbing, it would
we
be
can ask-
easy to put water.
Yeah, it's true.
We can ask Public Works where, what that cost would be where they would be able to put a water fountain and what the cost of that would be.
I mean, if you have plumbing, you'll have water there.
Right, that's when we do there is obviously there's water there because we water the field, as anybody who plays soccer on it knows. But where exactly we'd be able to put a water fountain, I'm not sure where that all would work. I think the one that we're putting at the skateboard park right off of the basketball court. I think that's like a $10,000 cost for that
Wow.
one. I mean, part of the challenge is always when you're doing a public water fountain that's outside, is you need to make sure it's sturdy enough that it's not going to be able to be vandalized very easily. So, if you look at outside water fountains that are, less protected, they are a little bit more secure.
But the skate park is different because you're putting pipes in there to bring
Right.
the water in.
I think there
The
is.
one thing up there at Lippman Field, and it's by the tennis court and by, I guess we'd call it the co-op, where the bus is held and everything.
yes.
There is a faucet there that we have the hose. And when we have Special Olympic events and Spring Day up there, we tap into that. So there is,
Water there.
maybe you could put the water fountain on the other side, or maybe it could go inside the tennis court or somehow. But that is already there, that water facility.
I mean, I know there's water service there. We
Yeah.
water the fields.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sure,
it's
would
just
that
a-
have to be a budget request as well, or would that fall under a different?
No, it would be a budget
into a different
request.
category?
And I'll get a cost from
Okay,
Public Works, and we can make that, make that 1A.
yeah.
But then, another thing, we have to discuss that with the
School district?
school district, because it is their property.
Yes.
I can look into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, one other thing, we did not discuss in our subcommittee, but just the maintenance of the community park, I've brought up, I'm gonna bring it up again. It's like the stone ponies. The play structure, the roof.
And Public Works
Oh,
has
I
heard
did see
you,
That looks terrible.
and they
Okay.
are looking into what kind of stain is needed to do
Okay.
that. So they've heard that concern. They were looking to see if that was under warranty still. It was not under warranty. So the company that built it has given us the different kinds of stains that would be usable for that. So we are moving that one forward.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Oh, it's,
It's a maintenance issue.
yeah, it's just a maintenance, you know,
Wood
you
looks-
you have to put a new stain on. It's just like,
The roof on top of the play structure is kind of
Oh,
coming off and looks.
I haven't noticed it.
and just like the park benches, the green paint, the lamp posts, every once in a while you gotta go back and
Right.
do it. The gazebo, it's just maintenance, you just have to, it's like a deck, you have to. So I just wanted to say that again. Thank you.
No, and we
It's been
appreciate
good, an
that. This
update.
way,
Yeah.
it's always nice when I can tell you that people have heard and we are moving forward.
Well, and that's just a focal point, that
It is.
we just did that, upgraded that play structure, and it just,
Yeah, it's right there at the
yeah.
beginning of town. We want to look good. Okay, anything else about the capital improvement projects? Any other comments or anything? Okay.
Okay, do we need to make a motion to
reorder
change that, or we just,
Just, if you would say that I moved, so moved, I'll call that a motion.
Okay.
I so move that we
Reorder the,
reorder
You don't have to say which ones.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7
Okay.
that'll work. Okay, good.
of the improvement projects, along with some of the other maintenance stuff that can be done like right away. Thank you very much. Is there a second?
If the second is
The motion.
necessary, I'll do it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, excellent. That is done. Now we can move on to new business. Goal-setting workshop follow-up and next steps in attachment. It's a very colorful attachment, which is lovely.
Yes.
So what you're looking at in front of you was kind of a summarization of our goal-setting workshop. And what I did was
Do we, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
we're
dim
going to
the
turn
lights.
that up.
Okay.
We're going to turn down the lights so you
thank
guys
you.
can see that. Sure. So what I did was I took each of your individual priorities and goals and then consolidated them into the 5 common themes, which I found to be trail improvements, community space for recreation, freshness/innovation, teen programming, and town connectivity. And so what I would like for the commission to do is to kind of go through each of these goals and establish some strategies and action items around how we anticipate going about achieving those goals. So Karen, I'll let you decide how you want to move this forward. I kind of did the trails one as an example of the process that I think would be helpful for us. But the commission can feel free to edit and adjust that. I just, again, set that kind of as an example. So I don't know if we want to go one goal at a time and just talk about the broader strategies and then bring it back to our next meeting and talk about the individual, how we plan to achieve those strategies, or if we want to just take one at a time.
What would you all like to do? And before we get to that, can we make the font a little bigger?
Yeah, I can't read it.
That helps. Okay, good.
Is that
They were
better?
pixelated before. Okay. Commissioners, what is your pleasure? Oh, nice.
There we go.
I keep upping the font on my computer. I know that's not a good sign. Okay, so commissioners, would you like to talk more in detail on each one, or do more of an overview and then revisit next month? What would you like to do?
Maybe it should be an overview and wait till Kevin's back and we're all together.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point.
That's true.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, well then,
So maybe we could just go through the goals and talk about some of the strategies we hope to
That
put
sounds
forward
good.
to achieve
that
those
sounds
goals.
good. Noreen, you want to go ahead and walk us through that?
Sure. So just the structure of the file that you're looking at in front of you. For the sake of this evening, we'll talk about the specific goal and then some of the strategies underneath that goal. As an example, I just used these derived from our conversation at our goal setting. Some of the common themes of the conversation included increased use of trails, general trail maintenance, accessibility and inclusivity, improved lighting, connectivity to the ridge, and use of the Crocker Trail Tunnel. So we can add, edit, adjust, change those as you see fit, but that was just one example that I did. I have not done that for the other goals. So if I did not capture anything there from our conversation about trails that you would like to include as part of our strategy, then we can do that.
Maybe we should, if it's hard to see for the public, should we just read through them?
Sure.
I can read them. So increase use of trails. We have some of the activities and tasks, action items are create a map of accessible trails for the public. And Lyle, you're on the Trails Committee with members of Council and Open Space, correct?
Correct.
When there's something that comes up on this list that we're already working on through that committee, will you let us know?
I will. In this first one, creating a map is one of the things that we had come up with, what we wanted to do. So,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Okay, so that's something that will happen. Collaborate with Bike Ped Trails Master Plan Committee. I guess that's the one you're on. Okay,
Yes.
very good. Conduct a formal audit of existing trails and identify needs. This is under trail maintenance. Okay, we have done that in the past, and I guess our subcommittee will do that moving forward. Collaborate with Public Works regarding routine maintenance and removal of debris. Okay, would that be as found necessary by the audit, I assume? Okay.
Correct.
Create signage encouraging trail users to preserve the trails and pick up after themselves. Okay. Accessibility and inclusivity. Conduct a conversation regarding paving a portion of the Crocker Park Trail for bikes and wheelchairs. Engage residents to determine the impacts and gauge their level of interest. Acquire quotes for paving. Consider making a recommendation to City Council for CIP prioritization. And improve lighting, identify existing needs, acquire quotes for additional lighting, consider making a recommendation to City Council for CIP prioritization. Lighting, is that specific to any trail or?
I think when that
Identify.
came up in previous conversation, it was more geared toward Crocker
Road.
Park.
Crocker Park, okay. Along the Crocker Trail? Okay. Connectivity to the ridge, conduct a conversation about how the commission wants to approach this, engage residents in a formal process about the best way to achieve this. Crocker Trail Tunnel, conduct a conversation regarding the needs of the space, engage the residents in a conversation about how to program for this area and what can be done to make it. Any additions or comments?
Covers pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So again, I just did this as an example to kind of set the tone for the rest of our work plan.
Easier to read this than
Good
this.
example.
Oh, okay. So you guys can feel free to modify as you see fit, but I just did this as a suggestion.
Should we work on this within our subcommittees? Perhaps, it seems like trails and facilities might want to take a closer look at this one. What are some of the other, categories?
I think it might be wise
space
to talk about the goals and the strategies as a commission, and then maybe, as you suggested, break it down to the subcommittee level for some of the more specifics as appropriate, like teen services can be discussed in the teen subcommittee.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so do we want to go into more detail for the other?
Yeah, so I
Themes.
think, let me zoom in if I can.
I like this, PNR Commission work plan. Like
That was very well put together, Noreen. Thank you.
I think this will help us keep on track and focused, and
Yeah.
we'll be able to
Yeah.
get some things done and measurable.
So teens might be a good one to tackle first. Talk about some of the strategies, and I just put these 4 things here because that had come out of our initial conversation in our goal-setting workshop. The commission had discussed potential revival of the Youth Advisory Committee, establishing some in-town opportunities for teens, possibly partnering with surrounding communities for out-of-town opportunities, and potentially creating a pipeline for teens to employment within the city. So feel free to add.
So how are we going to revive the yak? What are your plans there? My plans? Yes. What do you have that maybe we could throw in?
We've
there?
tried
Yeah.
recently.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Well, luckily, I was a mentor for a couple of years for the Boys and Girls Club. I worked with their Keystone program, which was all the teens throughout middle school till about college, till freshman year in college. So, and I still have a couple connections there that I can talk to and see what they did, what they do that works and what doesn't work. I've also been looking up different communities around here, what they do. That's so far, that's what I've been doing. I think I'm going to dive a little deeper with the Boys and Girls Club because they have a very, very successful program that they do. And it's
I agree. I think they really do. And it's been an idea of mine as well. I've thought of, somehow partnering with the Boys and Girls Club.
Definitely.
Or just, I think
And-
there's one in Pacifica and there's one in South San Francisco that I
Correct.
know of. And I think both are run really well.
They are. My buddy actually runs the one in South San Francisco. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of their programs, their Keystone program. They have like a national meet that they do in Florida, and it's pretty much teens from all over the country that go there, and they have about, I don't know, I want to say like 20,000 teens that show up to this thing, and they love partnering up with cities. So.
We have a Boys and Girls Club that's even closer in Bayshore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So the revival of the yak could actually then inform the second item, which is establishing opportunities for teens, because it seems like those opportunities should come from the teens,
Yes.
those ideas. So
Definitely.
partnering with surrounding communities.
But how are you going to do, because that's Youth Advisory Commission, how are you going to get these youths together? How are you going to get this yak
It's going to be a lot of
up and going?
putting myself out there, going to the schools, pitching my ideas and the kind of program that I want to start. It's how I'm planning on doing it.
Yeah, Ricardo and I had talked about doing kind of a marketing push and getting his face out there at Littman's after-school program, and he'll be running the teen dance that's coming up in a couple weeks, and he's going to promote the yak there. He had a couple of applications from last year and has contacted those individuals about their level of interest in continuing to support and be part of the yak. So he has a few ideas that he's floating out there, but I think it's sat stagnant for a while, and so I think it's just getting him out there, kind of being the one doing the footwork, and
There's got to be a face to it first.
yeah.
I agree.
So he and I have been talking about
Yeah.
some of those strategies.
And I would also just say, I wouldn't necessarily restrict myself just to Littman,
Exactly.
because my daughter goes to private school in the city, as do a number of our neighbors. So there's a lot of kids that aren't even reached through the local schools, so.
Where are you thinking about having yak meet? I mean, we used to have the teen center. We don't anymore.
I would probably go to Mission Blue. It'd be a good way to promote the place also, and have the parents meet us there and have our meetings there. But yeah, Mission Blue would be my first choice.
Okay.
So who is on the teen services subcommittee? I know.
I
Teresa
am.
is. Who-
Teresa?
David?
David, I think it's just the
And
two of
David.
us. Yep, just you and I.
There you go.
Are there any additional strategies that you might want to add at this point?
Not at this point. I'd like to give it some more thought.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really good start for sure. Stepping in the right direction.
Okay, good. Move to next one. Innovation. I think part of our mission statement, right, for freshness. Mm-hmm. New community events, classes, additional year-round programming, establishing Brisbane as a magnet, and taking a look at industry trends. Yeah. Those are good. I don't know where this would fit, but I know that we have in the past partnered with a county, and that might be an opportunity because they're doing a lot of health and wellness programs. Does anyone have any other ideas for this one? And what subcommittee would this fit under? Would this be events?
That's what I
Or-
was thinking, events.
What happened to programming? Don't we have programming?
We do still have
Oh, recreation programs, maybe a combination of the two? It's probably the same people, let's see. Lyle, Teresa, and David on programs, and events is Teresa and Renee, so. Maybe that could be a discussion for each of the subcommittees. Okay. Okay, that's a good start, thank you. Next one, community space for recreation. This is the idea of a community center needed in town.
I think this also spoke to creating new community recreation spaces like the bocce ball courts.
Ah, okay, good. Okay. And And under assess community needs, I think it's important that we, while we are looking at a design for the new library and figuring out what to do with the old library space, that we very clearly assess our community space needs. I think that's important so that we make sure we have what we need moving forward.
Because what are we going to use the space, when the library moves, what's that space, what's going to happen with it? What are our needs that we are going to do with it?
Right, it hasn't been determined yet. We're going to go through that process to determine what it will be used for.
Well, that could be their access.
And Stuart, would that be within our purview to give some recommendations as to what is needed for a community space or community spaces, or is that handled?
No, I mean, I think as it relates to recreational type programs, the Parks and Recreation Commission has that ability to make recommendations to the city council. I'm not sure what other types of uses may be out there, but there may be other groups that make other recommendations as we go through that process.
Okay. So that would fit under recreational facilities, I assume. You guys agree?
I would think so.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And we have one more? Town connectivity? Oh, this is Ridge and Central Brisbane, right? Oh, and business community and outlying neighborhoods. Okay. General connectivity. Any other ideas to
Well,
add
just
there?
marketing and getting people aware of programs and,
Just more events.
yeah, what's happening. How can we do more communication, I guess?
So this might fall under a few subcommittees as well. What do you think? Something like connectivity with the Ridge seems like a Crocker Trail
Right, I was thinking the same.
issue. I don't know if it's anything else. So that would be handled by facilities. Business community. Business community. Is it the idea of getting the business community more involved in town activities and parks and recreation?
Well, for these, I see Trails Development Subcommittee, right? Because again, the idea of connectivity is also the trails, how we connect the Ridge with downtown, as well as recreational programs, right? In regards of what we offer outside of those residents outside of town, as well as in town recreational programs to connect the town together.
Okay, yes. Connectivity is there.
So those,
yeah.
those two subcommittees I see.
Programs and facilities.
You know, also connecting them, I know we don't talk too much about the marina, but there's activities out there too. I mean, if we end up putting the kayak launch out there and
That's true.
eventually maybe doing some other events out there. And
Using it
and
more.
eventually, if that little passive park ever gets developed,
Right.
It's true. Okay, so we have kind of connected all of those issues to subcommittees, so we can discuss them further in subcommittees for specific ideas. Just jotting them down. Any other thoughts?
No, I think that's where it goes, is the subcommittees
Okay.
to work on it.
Okay. So let's just, to summarize, so trail improvements will be handled by facilities. Community space for recreation is facilities, and did we also say programs?
I believe we did.
Okay, facilities and programs. Innovation is programs and, was there a second one?
Events.
events.
Events. teen services, and connectivity, programs, and facilities. Okay. Just making a note so we know what to set up in the future. Great. Anything else for that one? Thank you, Noreen, for putting this together.
Yeah,
This is
it looks nice.
it really, I like that this has come out of the goal setting workshop. It feels like it was very worthwhile to go through the process to actually give us some structure. I think that's really important and will be very, very helpful. All right, so let's move along to 8B, which is naming of parks and facilities. Let's get a little,
What is that about?
So this has come up because obviously there's a new facility being built with the skateboard park. At the council meeting, there was a suggestion that, you know, the skateboard park should be named. This has been an issue that's been before the Parks and Recreation Commission before, as new facilities, as new structures are built, to come up with a process for naming them or calling them community playground, community park, or whatever. And I know that this has been an issue that has been before, as I said, been before the commission, not only for that, but also when with the community park, there was a question about whether that should be named after a person. So the question for you tonight is, do you want to develop a process for when new facilities are put in place to have them, to develop a name to provide a name for them? And I know we've
The
received
policy was not to.
yes, the current policy is to basically call them community, whatever that is, like community pool, community park, community playground. But we do have some that are named, like Firth Park is named. I think that might actually be the only one that has a name to it per se. I think there's a plaque at the tennis courts wall because that was donated by a person, so that plaque recognizing their donation was there. Mission Blue is named after the butterfly. I mean, it's, So, we do have some that are kind of named and some that aren't. Community Center doesn't have a name. So it's a question is, does the Parks and Recreation Commission want to develop a process? We've got the skateboard park that we've got now, and, as we've talked about, you're looking at building other facilities in the future. If we do get to a park down at the marina, do you want to name that something other than Marina Park or something? And what process would we use?
I'm going to include a little bit of citizen communication on this one as well. This also from Anya Miller. She writes, besides Firth Park, named after a Brisbane citizen, there have been several attempts to name our facilities for other current or former prominent citizens or businesses, but the council has maintained its neutral naming policy. Their most extensive naming task so far was the Northeast Ridge streets. Their decision was to use the flora and fauna of the mountain exclusively. That is a policy I hope will continue. If you really need to rename the community park or the community pool, then please recommend comparable natural names reflecting our village or history. Ever since the playground fundraising and installation of stars around, the suggestion of Star Park has been floated about, but no action has ever come before your commission. Could you at least mention it now for possible consideration? Now, we did talk
bring
about
it up.
renaming Community Park to Star Park, and we decided
Not
not to do that. Yes, after
And that was a few years ago.
that was
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yes, we had a lot of citizen outreach that came, and the whole history of how that all started about, and that it was a community, and one person, they wanted to name it after him, and he absolutely said,
No way.
no, it's for the community, it's about the community, and so that's why it always remained there. But I do know at several of the skate park meetings, there was a discussion one time that the kids possibly throw in some names and name it that way, and have some, public input. What do you want this skate park named besides skate park? Maybe Star Skate Park, since that was brought up about Star Park and everything. So I don't know, if something like that for the teens,
So my thoughts on this are, it's about branding, right? And you need to have an identity or a brand. So this is the City of Stars. So if we're thinking about naming of things, it should align itself around the City of Stars theme, right? Not saying that everything should be called a star or advocate a star, right? Celestial this or something like that, but it's a theme, right? And the other thing is you talk about, so the street names around the ridge are named after the local flora and fauna. So again, the community of where we are, the San Bruno Mountains and the star should be a theme, and we should have a naming convention that aligns itself with keeping that brand, right? So no matter what we may call things, community is very generic, yes. It's, I think, overly generic. I think with the advent of the new skate park, we should set a precedent of naming things around what it is, the City of Stars, and have that as our brand and going forward. So that we'll always be known as the City of Stars.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So does that mean that we are considering renaming the community park, or just anything that comes after?
The way I understood Stuart's ask to us was decide on if we wanted to create a policy about how we go about naming. Not necessarily naming anything tonight, but coming up with a policy about naming.
Correct, but I'm asking, is that policy for anything going forward, or are we including past projects like the community park?
I would think going forward.
I would think going forward too, that's my interpretation of it. Stuart, yes?
Whatever recommendation the commission wants to make to the council, they can make to the council, whether it's for existing facilities or for new facilities. And, it's the same thing that we did, when we'd go through a similar process that we went through in developing the recommendation for the public art ordinance. So the commission would make a recommendation to the council as to what the procedure would be for naming facilities. If you would like to only look at facilities going forward, that would be fine. If you want to look at facilities that are in existence, if you want to make that recommendation to the city council, I think that would be fine. There was no direction at the council meeting as it related to naming anything. It was just that a resident came forward and made a suggestion on a name, and council says we probably should have a process for that.
Okay.
And since it's a it's a Parks and Recreation facility, it seems appropriate that the Parks and Recreation Commission should make recommendation as to how to name Parks and Recreation facilities.
Well, I agree with Lyle's suggestion. I feel that anything that we name moving forward should be connected to the identity of Brisbane and the character of Brisbane.
That's what I think,
important.
too.
Absolutely.
You guys
I agree.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Would you like to have the Recreation Facilities Subcommittee meet and develop a policy for that? 'Cause that seems like an appropriate place
Yeah.
to do that. And we can go through the same process. I can see if there's other cities that have policies in place on how to name stuff, and then go through that, or see how other cities have named facilities, if they would do it through a community suggestions, whether they do it through having a preset set of names that are available for themselves. So there might be a number of ways to do that, but we can work through a policy in the subcommittee and then bring that back for the commission's review.
I think that sounds good.
Yeah.
You guys agree?
Agree.
And it also might in the future inform how we design or what we add to the design of certain facilities. For example, if we create a skate park and we don't have signage that says Clippy Skate Park, then everyone's just going to call it the skate park. It's going to end up being the community skate park. It has to have some identity on the facility itself. So I guess we could talk about that too in facilities.
Interesting enough, there's going to be a wall that might be a good place as part of a design for it. There's going to be that wall that's going to face Old County. It's going to be behind a fence, but that wall, there's a very long wall as part of one of the elements that you can put the name of the park on that.
Okay.
So that might not be a bad place to do that.
Okay, good. So it could be.
I like the star theme, though.
And is
That-
a mural going on that, or you don't know? That could also be discussed.
That's to be discussed. Everything's up for discussion, as you can tell.
Be the
Okay.
first start of the art.
That's true.
Or,
So we will address that further in detail at the subcommittee level. Sounds great. Okay, reports. A chairperson, I don't have anything to report. Subcommittee reports. So who met and what did you do?
Public Art met,
Mm-hmm.
and we're still working on how to word this and how to get the right wording for us. And that's really what we're meeting on,
For the
is
implementation.
see what other
guidelines.
cities have done and come up with an idea. So it's going to take more meetings, I'm sure.
We also talked about how to be very inclusive with the public and
Right.
how to bring them in at every
Right,
decision. and-
exactly,
And how to make it more of a process.
right.
Okay. That's public art. Did anyone else meet?
Music in the Park,
Okay.
Concerts in the Park met, and all bands are now booked.
Oh, good.
We are still looking into food trucks or some kind of food. And we discussed the donors' night. And I think that's about it. Things are progressing.
That's it.
Good. Okay. We just met for facilities. Do you want to just give we pretty much talked about everything, but was there anything else? That was about it. We
no, I think.
came right in
yeah,
and talked about it immediately.
took
Um,
action.
did programs meet or senior?
Seniors, we met.
Oh, yeah, we
Seniors
met with seniors.
And we reviewed all the programs that the city offers and that the city supports and through the Seniors Club. And we'd like to make a recommendation. And what we noted in this discussion we had is that the Seniors Club has not had an increase in funding in many, many, many years. So we recommend that the commission ask for an increase in the next budget cycle in the amount of $3,000. But I'd like to confer that if this is a two-year budget, as Stuart said, that we'd like to ask for funds, $3,000 for the 2016-2017 year, and $4,000 in the 17-18 year. So I want to know what you guys think about that. The senior club goes on many activities outside, and maybe Bonnie.
What
I'd
is
like-
budgeted now?
1,700. It's been 1,700 from the start.
It's, you're right, it's 1,700 a month, and that, it raised a little bit, because I remember when I was here, it was a little bit less, and then it got raised to 1,700, because I think it was like 1,600 and change, or 1,500 and change.
Yeah.
It moved up to 1,700
Did you say 1,700 a month?
a
Did
month.
A month.
A month.
And then there's also $3,000 that is provided to the senior club for trips as a one-time annual payment.
Yeah, that's.
So it's
very good.
20,000, I think it's like 20,400 on, for the 1,700, I think that comes out to, if I multiply it by 12, I think it comes out to 20,400, and then 3,000, so about 23,400 is provided to the seniors.
But we felt like it's time to have it raised. I know Kevin and
Yeah,
Renee and I met.
but you might want to explain what that 1,700 a month, what that covers so far.
Well, our operating expenses, they do pay dues, but we need it, like, today we went to a restaurant. And we try to go someplace every month, a restaurant or a trip. And so they vote on the trips at the first of the year, and they decide which 2 trips they want. And that's where the travel money comes in.
So that's what we're asking for, so maybe they can go on 3 trips a year and 4 trips, because the expense is the bus that they gotta rent,
Yes, it's expensive.
so,
And what are the current dues?
It's $10 a month if you have lunch and bingo. It's $7.50 if you just have lunch and no bingo for a month.
Okay.
you know, and there's other activities that we thought maybe they could go to, the senior day at the movies on Monday,
Right.
so they'd need transportation.
We just had a ARP driver class Monday and Tuesday. And the club paid for the members of the club to take this class. And that was $15 a person. I think we had 10 club members and then some outsiders. So that's good for 3 years. And we had that Monday and Tuesday.
So the cost increase you mentioned was $3,000 for the 2016, 2017 year. Is that $1,700 to $3,000 a month increase? You're talking about a one,
Yeah, for the year. That's
I have the same question Lyle does.
Yeah.
So are we going, so right now we provide $23,400 a year. Is the commission going to ask the city council to ask for $26,400 in 16, 17, and then 27?
I thought we said 2,000.
No, well,
Or are you asking for 1,300 times 12, which would be another
we
12?
kind of thought
thousand.
maybe a 10 or 15% increase at one time too. We
So
talked
you're,
about
so you're looking for basically a $3,000
increase.
annual, an annual increase of 3,000 in the first year, and then a
Well, okay,
4,000.
break it down. You could do 1,500, 1,500.
You could do, I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out what to put into the, what's the request that the commission is making. So if the commission is making the request to say that they would like an additional $3,000 allocated on an annual basis to the senior club, that's fine. I mean, that could be the commission's recommendation. And then 4,000 in the next year as an annual. Because what I don't want to make the mistake of when I represent what the commission is asking is that I get this wrong. So you're not asking to go from $1,700 a month to $3,000 a month. You're asking the $3,000 go from $3,000 to $6,000, and then in the next year go from $6,000 to $7,000. Because we have two different payments, one is a one-time payment and one is a monthly payment. You're asking that the one-time payment go from $3,000 to $6,000, and then go from $6,000 to
I think we
$7,000.
were talking about the one-time payment, the 3,000, so you
Yes.
could do the more
Okay.
trips.
I just
That's
wanted to
it.
make sure.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Nope, I just wanted to make
No,
sure, and I
not
know
the
that was the same
monthly,
question that Lyle
the
was
one-
asking.
The one, I'm sorry.
Okay, nope,
Because
makes sense.
that's why I remember, yeah,
Yes.
I wasn't specific.
That's a much
Yeah.
more reasonable
Yeah.
request.
Yeah.
than-
Or, so they can go do their events, have more
Right.
than just 2 events
We
a
could do
year.
more events instead of just 2 events.
So we'll need to draft up a formal request.
Right, and so I think what I think might be best is that at the next meeting, staff puts together a list of requests from the Parks and Recreation Commission to be submitted to the city council for their budget. And then I will let the Parks and Recreation Commission know when the meeting is going to, the review of the Parks and Recreation budget is. So that way a representative of the Parks and Recreation Commission can be present, because I know you're also asking for an increase in the amount for the day in the park. You're asking for a number of capital projects. So there's a number of requests that I think I've heard throughout the last few months. And if we put all this together as Parks and Recreation Commission's requests, and that could be presented to the city council as a supplement to the budget as to what, for that.
Okay.
And then the Parks and Recreation Commission should have somebody who represents them to the council for those and explain what, the work that the senior club does, explain what you're looking for to the whole. I know you're going to have a subcommittee meeting with the council liaison, but also have them, explain to the whole council what you're looking for out of the day in the park and all those kinds of things.
Okay, sounds good. And the timing of that will work for our budget.
Right, so we are going,
That
so the city
meeting.
council, we're hoping to do the overview of the budget on June 2nd. So your meeting in May would roll into that and then I think we're going to do departmental budget reviews on May 14th and 16th. I believe we're asking council for those additional days.
Okay.
So I don't know which one would be Parks and Recreation, which would be other departments. But I think that we're going to the city council at their next meeting asking for a calendar of budget days, and I'll let you know that as soon as I know.
Good. Great, thank you. Okay, that sounds like a good plan. Anything else on that matter? Okay, so we need to set subcommittee meetings for the month. Talk about who needs to meet.
We're meeting with the city council liaisons on the 25th. I don't know how many people are on that committee.
It's the day in the park.
Uh-huh,
Day in the park.
the day in the park. So it would be Kevin and Teresa and I.
Yes.
Okay,
And that's what day
25th.
Monday, the 25th.
with the liaisons?
Which I think it's
And the
Lori, Lou,
Lori
and
and
Madison.
Madison. And the purpose is to just,
Talk about day in the park, we want extra money,
okay.
And the proposed beer garden.
and the beer.
Oh, that's,
Yeah, because it's the 30th anniversary.
Yes,
Yes.
and we want banners that say,
Be sure to put the banners in there.
okay. That's set up. Okay, great. And then, okay, let's just go down the list then. So that's day in the park.
yeah,
Concerts in the park, probably, it sounds like you don't need to meet. Do you guys need to meet?
Well, we do still need to,
one more time, I
yeah, the
think.
food truck stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
so
not
this
settled,
month,
so
meet this month. Do you,
probably this month. I mean, Howard, yeah, we need to get them booked.
we never did the,
You need banners there. too.
the set dates, did we, for subcommittee meetings that we were going to do to make this all easier for everyone? Where we had a kind of a standing date for each subcommittee that we would use or not? Did we
We,
not do that?
we tried that and it just didn't happen. So I think
We're
this,
going back to the old-fashioned way?
I think the old-fashioned way is working again. So we'll shoot for that for a little while.
I did like the idea. I thought that it seemed like it made a lot of sense. Could we just not get our calendars together, or what? I can't remember what happened
I
with that.
think, it's life and things came up and
And
things
trying to
got
coordinate
canceled
everyone.
and
I guess
yeah. it
Month to
just-
month,
it-
it changes, so.
So it's
Okay.
just as easy, I think, at this point for me to try to corral you guys
Okay.
when it's
Hopefully, we
time.
all get back to you soon, quickly, and,
We're probably,
That would
yeah,
make it
public art
easier.
Again.
It's working.
yeah, we'll definitely need to do that. Okay, so concerts in the park will need to meet. Events, would events like to meet to discuss the ideas for innovation?
The goals.
Yeah, that's Teresa and
Teresa and
Renee.
me, do you
guys
wanna
like
do
meet
that?
To discuss that?
Sure. I mean, if we need to start tackling some of these, main topics, I think those subcommittees should meet.
Mm-hmm, okay, that sounds good. So events will meet. Festival of Lights does not need to meet yet, right?
Right.
Habitat Restoration Day,
No, but there is something coming up, isn't there, a cleanup Earth Day?
Yes,
And
it is.
we're co-sponsoring
I think it's the 22nd of this month,
Yeah, we're
It's the 23rd.
23rd. And where is it? They couldn't
It
decide
is-
where it was going to be.
On Monarch Drive at the corner there.
On the ridge?
Mission Blue and
across from the
North
sign.
Hill, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
and that's the 23rd,
April 23rd from 9 to 1.
from 9 to 1,
that's
right.
done. Okay, Public Art will need to meet this month.
I don't know when Kevin's due back.
I give him a couple weeks.
I think we set that meeting at the last one. I thought I had it on my
We
calendar.
did too.
I don't
Actually-
remember it.
Yeah, hold on. It's in May.
I thought I can remember thinking.
I have it as
that.
May 4th at 4:30.
Better put it on my calendar.
May 4th at 4:30, just make sure it's on mine. Yes, and you even sent out a reminder, Tricia, as I say that on here. Okay, great. And then, what else do we have here?
Program.
Recreation programs and facilities will both need to meet because of coming up with some ideas for the work plan.
And can those meet together? Could two subcommittee meeting groups? We can't.
We
Okay.
can't because of,
They're not the
Yeah.
same people.
Okay.
unfortunately, because that would be great if we could.
Well,
would-
you're on two of those.
So,
Lyle could.
it'll actually be helpful that you're on both so that you can,
Well, could
we
they
don't
move-
have any
could-
crossover.
Yeah, could they meet one right after the other? And then he,
And change places?
yeah.
That may not be a bad
1 hour,
idea.
1 hour, yeah.
You want to do that? Does that work for you,
Maybe.
Lyle, to do
It
kind of a
depends what-
back-to-back?
Depends what day we do. We change, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
Well, you'll just send out some.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
tend to try to do that if there's similar people on both, or try to do a back-to-back if it works out.
Great. We appreciate that. That's really good. Okay, so those two will meet. Seniors, you need to meet?
No, we just met.
We
You
just
guys are
met,
okay?
So we're okay for a while.
Teen
Give
services?
them the money.
if we're going to meet to talk about work
Yep.
plan, I guess
Teen
that will need to
services
meet
as
too.
well.
Okay, teen services.
I have a lot of meetings.
Teresa, I was going to say, you're going to be busy.
I'm going to be in all the meetings.
Do you want to move some of these to the following month?
Tricia's going to be busy.
And that's the reason we don't have a regular scheduled meetings, because otherwise Teresa would be, every night of her week would be booked.
She'd have to quit her job.
We don't have to do these all this month. I think we can spread them out over a couple of months. So would you like to do that, just because you're so?
Well, I think if that's going to be the case, then can you guys actually tell me what are the most important ones that you want to get in before the next commission meeting? Because that would make it a little easier than me trying to run around and get all these and you not really be that important right now.
That's a good
Well,
point.
how important is it to get this, these common themes set up? I mean, what is the time frame for that?
You guys get to decide the time frame. I mean, it's really your work plan, and staff will work and take direction from that. I think if we could have a solid plan over the next 3 months, maybe, then that would give us some direction for the remainder of the year.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, let's see, what needs, apart from the work plan, who needs to meet? So we talked about facilities meeting, talk about naming. We might want to get that done sooner than later, so it seems like facilities should meet.
How about rec facilities, concerts, and public art being the most important ones right now of everything we just discussed?
Rec facilities
Concerts and public art, and I
Concerts.
don't know if rec programs is,
and public art. Yeah, you know what, I would agree. Does anyone else, what does everyone think about that? And the other ones can be moved to the following month? I think so. Does that lighten it up for Teresa? Let's see, she's probably on all those. Is she? No.
No,
Okay, good, she's not.
I'm not on public art any longer.
That's right, you were. If you could be, you would be.
That's true.
Okay, that sounds good. Excellent. Setting subcommittee meetings. Commissioners, anything to report?
Nope.
Lyle, anything
No.
to report? Renee, no?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Good. Staff, before programs report, I just wanted to thank you all for the very nice feature in the Star of our commission. The lovely picture that Kevin set up and a really nice text that I know that Tricia and Noreen worked hard on. So really appreciated that. I thought it was nice to feature people who are in the community and how they're involved, and I think it might encourage others to become more involved. So thank you for taking the time.
Well, just the whole star looks good.
It does.
The
It
whole
does.
thing.
The star looks
It does.
wonderful. Thank you. I could see your touch.
Along with this.
Definitely.
you didn't like the boring one-page things I used to do for you? No color and stuff? You didn't like that? Oh, all right.
They're very
Those were fabulous
As a
too,
finance
but
person, I love the one color, just letting you know.
they were fabulous, but this is brilliant.
Okay, so, and a programs update?
Were you going to put that up now?
It's up.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah, go.
Oh, well, all right. Hi there. I thought you were putting this up. Okay, so the first thing is the summer activity guide, as we were just talking about, that's out. The resident registration opened last Tuesday, and the non-resident registration will open next Tuesday. And that's for all of our activities until August? Through August. The new registration, we have new registration forms and liability waiver. So there's a new look and feel to our registration forms. We've updated the liability waiver based on the recommendation of the city attorney, which you'll see up there. That's what it looks like. It's front and that's one side is the front, the other side's the back, obviously. And we are, everything is to be done through that registration form. It has to be done in the office, or if they sign up online, there is a liability waiver box that they can check online. We will no longer be doing on phone registrations. So you have to either come in the office and sign up, or do it online. So we're just getting people to starting to get used to those. But yeah, we need to have something better in place, and so those are going to work out really well. And of course, Noreen did those. That's why they look so nice. Also, spring break camp recap. We just finished up our 2 weeks of spring break camp, and the first week we had about 36 kids, and the second week we had 34. They're only doing the Wednesday trips, and they went to Marine World the first week and the Oakland Zoo the second week, so they had a lot of animal things going on. I think they enjoyed that. So that went well. As far as programming, the photography class has been canceled. We didn't get enough. We put signs up, it just didn't go. Maybe at another date, hopefully we can get it to go, but so that's gonna be canceled. And coming in May to the Mission Blue Center on Thursday evenings is Cuban salsa.
Oh.
The
Write that down.
If you'd like to, it's 7:30 to 9 p.m. on Thursday evenings, starting May 19th. It is drop-in fee only, $12 for residents and $15 for non-residents, and the teacher will be Royland Lobato. He is friends with Ken Delmar, who has done, I believe, classes in the past.
Definitely.
So that's going to be starting in May, so we're hoping to get some good
And you said it was Thursday night.
Thursday nights,
And what was the time again?
7:30 to 9 p.m.
It's conflicting with council.
Oh, I know how much you wanted to go, Stuart.
I'll have to tell Clay.
There's a little freshness there. Did
Is Ken the guy that used to do the tango?
Yes.
Okay.
you ever take that
So that's what I have. I'm going to
No.
give it over to Noreen.
So, the Tahitian dance group had an open house at Mission Blue. Was that last week? Or the week before? Yeah. And Trisha and I went up there in the evening. There was about 80 people in attendance.
Wow.
It was a really nice show, a great showcase of their talent and celebration of their culture, and just the success that the class has had just in the few months that it's been here in Brisbane. So it's very exciting, and they have amazing live music while they dance. So to those of you watching at home, if you can get up there for a class, it's really so refreshing and so lively. You can't help but smile when you're there. So just wanted to share that with you. I already mentioned the Habitat Restoration Day on April 23rd, so I'm just going to slide right through this. I'm going to make a little plug, a call for artists. So we're looking for local artists that are interested in showcasing their talents with us as part of the art showcase in the large conference room here at City Hall. So if anybody is interested, feel free to contact myself and submit a sample of your artwork, and we are looking to schedule them for the remainder of this year. And we have a few department recruitments open currently, mostly for the summer. Lifeguards, recreation leader, recreation aide, and we just opened our senior recreation leader, which is at our Club Rec after-school program. So all of those recruitments are currently open. And then lastly, the BDW show is coming next month, May 14th and 15th. Tickets are available for sale online at brisbanedanceworkshop.org. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Excellent. Okay, moving on to number 10, commission matters. Any additional written communications?
No.
No? No one has anything? Okay. Commission calendar. Let's see, so this is what we'll be talking about next meeting, and we will be looking at the budget recommendations, the document, and approving that. What else do we need to do next month? We'll have a lot of reports from subcommittees.
Right.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything.
Let's see.
Well, we'll probably need to I'm just going off of our commission calendar here, establish summer commission calendars and a tour. We're supposed to do that in May. A facilities tour.
And did we decide that that's going to be that's an all-commission tour, right? That's going to be like a traveling meeting, traveling P&R meeting?
I think that's what the consensus was. If there's something specific that we want to visit at a facility or a park to have a conversation about, or just in general.
So is that something we should schedule separately? How do you all feel about that? That would be scheduled for next month.
What would we tour? What do you,
And would it be evening?
I think it would have to be evening or weekend. Do we feel we need to do that this year? What are your thoughts?
So the thoughts are yes, we want to visit facilities, and in the evening, it's preferable. We scheduled it for January, but we got rained out. And now the summer months are here, longer nights, we can enjoy a nice evening walk around different trails and things, facilities that we have. Especially if we're thinking about naming, thinking about policy again, if we thought about how we might impact the policy, how it might, the aesthetics, et cetera, for the facilities we visit. So, again, it can be all of the commission or some of us that want to see the facilities that, we don't get to regularly.
Would the entire commission be interested, or should we go as a facilities group? What are your thoughts? So we're the facilities group here. so-
in the past, what we've done, if we went and toured someplace, we usually met like maybe a half hour, or if we're gonna walk a trail or something, an hour before we had our scheduled meeting.
Before the
Should it
scheduled
be
meeting.
the facilities people?
Well, no, that's what
be
we
everybody.
did, well, yeah, we did do that as a subcommittee one meeting before.
Yes.
We could do either, so do you
Um,
have any thoughts as to if you're
because-
interested in doing that? Would you like the facilities subcommittee to go ahead and,
Well, I think that takes priority. I mean, if anybody else can make it, great. If not, then
Do the facilities people do it?
you want to have a facilities subcommittee
Yes.
do that? Okay, we can do that. So we are meeting already, one time,
So I would propose it be 5:30, May 11th. Before the 6:30 meeting on May 11th. We meet as a visit a facility for half an hour or so, and then come to the meeting.
we can do,
Yeah.
right, we don't have to do every facility in
No,
Brisbane
yeah.
in one day, so we can do one or two. in a
And what we could do is we can post it as a commission meeting, and that way any commissioner who wants to go can partake in it,
That's a great idea.
but they don't have to.
Okay,
And, maybe Mission Blue might be a
Yeah.
a good place to
a
start.
good
since we're
place to
talking
start.
About that, okay.
Yep, agreed.
That sounds great.
So I have a quick question with that. If you guys are going to meet as a subcommittee to do that, is that going to be separate from the actual rec facilities meeting that we were going to try to put together, or is that can,
I think it'll be separate.
Separate.
okay, so you're going to have two of them?
Right, and I think the 5:30 on the 11th will be posted as a commission meeting.
Okay.
So that way, if any of the commissioners would like to go, they can participate.
sounds like a great
Because I know some commissioners may not have been to the facilities in a while, and maybe what you might want to do is just like have a, different facility every so often.
It's a great idea. And also then, members of the community could also attend.
Right.
Okay, great.
So where are we meeting on May 11th?
Mission Blue.
Yeah, I think the facilities commission, the commission will meet from 5:30 to 6:30 at Mission Blue, and then from 6:30 until whenever down here.
Okay.
5:30 to 6:15 to make sure everybody can get down here by 6:30.
May 11th.
Okay, 6 o'clock. They're saying it's a long drive.
Might be-
Traffic?
5 to 6?
No, 5:30 to 6:15.
5:30, 6:30?
My staff is making fun of me, that's all.
Okay, I'm just putting it on my calendar. Mission Blue. All right, that sounds like a good idea. So it is. All right, and then moving on, that is it. Anything else that we missed? I think we are done. Okay. And I'm going to adjourn the meeting at, what time is it? 8:09, according to my computer. 8:09. Meeting is adjourned.